What we're going to be talking about today is demanding more from your realtor. So, by a show of hands, how many people in the room have had a bad experience with a realtor? If you don't have your hands up, you're either a liar or you're a realtor who's also a liar. Because no, even if you're a good realtor, you're going to work with bad realtors, so it doesn't matter. Everyone here has had a bad experience with the realtor, I am sure of that. So, I like to say realtors are the new used car salesmen, really. No, that's how people perceive agents. So I'm not sharing anything that you guys don't already know. Realtors have a very bad perception. So I'm going to talk about perhaps why. So what is your realtor's marketing plan that you're working with now? Have they laid out their awesome marketing plan they're going to do for you? But what is their real marketing plan besides putting it on the MLS and letting the MLS do all the work? Because you could go to RE/MAX, Keller Williams, At Properties, Kale Realty, any realty company under the sun. The reality is when you post a property on the MLS, it's going to post it to all the sites like Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com. There's not really a big difference, and a lot of companies say, well, we do all this extra marketing for you, but it's really not them doing the marketing, it's the MLS. So what does your agent do besides putting your property on the MLS? So I haven't always been a realtor. I've only been a realtor myself for about a year and a half, and one of the reasons why I became a realtor is because I had some bad experiences with realtors where they told me that I should buy a house and that if I buy this house and I do all this work for it, it's going to sell for this number here. And when I did all the work and I did it up and beyond their expectations, it didn't sell for that price. But the reality is we relisted with the agent, they still got paid. So regardless if us as investors make money or not, at the end of the day, the realtors are still getting a commission. So that's one of the reasons why I became a realtor, so I could really dive in and learn what a realtor should do and shouldn't do. So I found out that most realtors did not have a marketing plan besides the one that their brokerage gave them, which brokerage marketing plans require typically less than a $500 investment. And the reality is I became an agent because nobody's going to market my home better than myself. Now, this presentation is not to bash realtors. I'm sure some realtors will hate me after today, but that's all right. This presentation is to hold realtors accountable. We, in this business as investors, we buy homes, in some cases for hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's a big deal when we go to sell and we can't sell for a certain price. So we need to make sure our realtors that we're working with have a marketing plan. And really this presentation is to help you guys sell your homes for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. So what we're going to talk about today is how a realtor should market your property, how much a realtor should be spending on marketing, and how much you should be paying your realtor. So it all starts with the sign. Now this is targeted towards, doing new construction, second story additions. If you have a large job that you're doing, the very first thing that should happen is you should have a very large 4 feet by 4 foot sign. And then on that sign, you should have obviously the realtor's information. They should also be plugging you as the developer as well, not just them. So it all starts with the sign, having the websites, and a way for the people to contact you. So this presentation that I'm giving you essentially my marketing plan, all my links, where you can go to get all this information. So you could go to Oakley Sign. They are like the #1 sign provider here in the Chicagoland market. They're very affordable. And to get a 4-foot by 4-foot sign, you're going to pay anywhere between $249 to $500. And they are going to charge you to do a $90 installation with a commercial sign. You can also, so if you get design work and all that, it may cost you more money than that. Miguel is a great cost-effective way of buying a 4-foot by 4-foot sign. But now what I'm telling you is not that you should be paying for this as the investor. Actually, the agent should be paying for the sign. Because again, it is marketing them as well as you. And then again, that's something you could talk about, but it should be marketing you both together. Miguel is only $250, and that even includes the design work, and he'll even drop off the sign at the job site. He will not install it. So you can either have your contractor do the installation, or you can have Oakley do the installation. And I'm going to be emailing everyone this presentation, so if you didn't get your email or it's not legible, you're not going to get this presentation with all these links. So you also need to have a unique URL. And again, I'm not talking about realtors working with retail clients. I'm talking about realtors working with us as investors. We need to have a dedicated website. If your house is 123 Main Street, you should have a website, www.123main.com. To buy a domain name is not a big investment. It's $10 to $15. There's 5 different examples of places that you can build websites. Wix will allow you to build a website for free. Instapage is a monthly service that you pay for. That's $39 a month. WordPress varies. That gives you search engine optimization. I pay $99 a month for my WordPress package. Agentmarketing.com is $99 a month. They're very good. And Agent Redefined Marketing, I don't know if any of you were here for the George Cuevas presentation. Great. He actually creates a website for you. Awesome. Yeah, George is awesome at what he does. All you need to do is buy the domain name. And again, by you, I'm talking to realtors. All they need to do is buy the domain and forward it to the site that George creates for you. So here's just some examples of different sites. So this is a free website I built with Wix. It's a very nice site, considering it's free. I just forwarded the domain name to Wix's site, and it's the address of the home. Here's an example of an Instapage. Here's a WordPress example. Now this is showcasing multiple properties, but you should have a property-specific website for every single property you have. And this is an agent marketing example, and then this is an agent redefined, which is through George Cuevas's program. So all of these, there's no reason why when you list a home, you should not have your street name in the website. Again, you're going to rank, preferably a .com. .infos do not rank. .coms rank better. So for example, I create a .info and a .com. A lot of agents will do .info because it's cheaper, but a .com will actually get you rankings on Google. Zillow and Trulia. Now, again, this is referring to if you're doing a large-scale renovation and it's going to be a 6-month, 9-month project, you should create what's called a coming soon. And what coming soon does on Zillow, it actually in a lot of cases will get better placement than actual for-sale homes in particular neighborhoods. For whatever reason, Zillow gives many times coming soon listings more juice than actual active listings on Zillow. So if an agent wants to become a premier agent on Zillow, there is an investment. You can get a cost anywhere between $200 to $1,000 a month with Zillow. I'm a premier agent. I'm in my area that I'm a premier agent is. I can still post coming soons, but it's an area where I don't even really do any types of deals, but it allows me to do coming soons, which is very, very important. And then if you get a buyer, let's say you're doing construction on a home, and the construction is going to be 4 months down the line. If the buyer is going to make any sort of changes to your floor plan or to your finishes, you need to make sure that your agent is getting a non-refundable deposit from that buyer, because if we change it to their liking and it's not for the general public's liking, we now have a home that will be more difficult to sell. So when we pre-market homes, we want to make sure we make that, if they make custom changes to your floor plan, that you get a non-refundable deposit. Now, a realtor, of course, this is the very basics, but you need to look at the comps before you list a home. And there's so many variables. I'm going to go over them because you guys need to be aware of the different variables when you're looking at comps. So when an agent gives you comps, you need to make sure that the comps that they're giving you is in the same subdivision. If they're giving you, you're in a subdivision where the homes were built in the 1980s and they're using comps of a subdivision where the houses were built in early 2000s, you cannot use those comps, obviously, in the newer subdivision. It just doesn't work. And then, of course, are the comps within a half mile? Now, in Chicago, and I'll break it down in Chicago, you can't cross busy intersections. So when you look at a map, if it's a through street with street lights, if you cross a busy street, you are in a different neighborhood, and you can no longer use those comps unless it's a worse neighborhood. If it's a better neighborhood or the values are higher on this side of Cicero, well, there's a reason why they're higher on the other side of Cicero. And then you also can't cross any boundaries like rivers. So if you're on one side of the river or a side of the train tracks, you know, there's the old saying, well, I live on the wrong side of the train tracks. That's very true for real estate. You cannot cross those types of things. And then what you're going to want to look to is your base, or is your square footage, ideal square footage within 5% of your resale square footage. Now, if you're in the suburbs, people don't count basement square footage. It's really not treated the same as above grade square footage. But in the city, a lot of times, believe it or not, square footage in the basement is, if you have a good ceiling height, is just as good as square footage above grade. Now again, if you have a 2-story home and you're comparing with a basement and you're comparing it to a ranch with the finished basement, that's still not the same.
Is it 8 feet?
Ideally, you want at least 7, because sometimes you're not going to get 8 feet in a basement. You're going to want at least 7 feet minimum. Minimum.
The rule in Chicago is 7 3/4.
Yeah, there we go. 7 3/4. But you shallow basements, if you're doing a house with a shallow basement and if I have to do this, you're going to have a very, very difficult time selling that house. So again, you want to make sure you're looking at comps within the same square footage. And are the comps within the same school district? A great tool that you can use, not as realtors but as investors, is Redfin. You can go to any address on Redfin, type in the address, and it'll pull up the school district. Now this is on the MLS. So on the MLS, with my mapping tool, I can actually, when I click map comps, I can click this button here, and then I can look at public, middle, I think it's called grade school, middle school boundaries right here. And now you can see, and I'll kind of walk over here. So here, this is Bateman Elementary School. Okay, my comp is right here. This is my property where it's located. I cannot go west of Kedzie. Kedzie is a busy street. I also cannot use that comp there because that is a different elementary school. Everything in real estate is dictated by school districts. If you're in a different school district, and just because we didn't cross a busy street, unfortunately, we can't use these comps because right here, this is a different school district. So I have a very small area where I can use to use as comps. So you definitely need to verify the comps that you're getting are within that same school district. And again, this is a really great tool you can use on the MLS. And then, are the comps that you're getting quoted, are they sold comps, or are they active comps, or are they contingent comps? The only thing I care about is sold comps. Just because someone has their house listed for $1 million doesn't mean they're going to get $1 million, or they're even get $900,000. Active listings, to me, you may want to look at that data, but you're not going to use that when determining your after repair value and your valuation. Now, have the comps sold within the last 6 months is ideal. We're in a market where the market keeps getting better, so I can go back a year in many cases. And then, of course, are the comps of similar models of houses. You know, again, is you looking at two-story homes and the other house is a ranch. Do the comps have similar lots, or do the comps have much larger lots? Again, you might be literally one street over. We didn't cross a busy street, but the homes on this other street have double lots, maybe a 50 wide by 150 long, and you've got a 25 wide by 100 long. Your comp is nowhere near what a comp with that extra wide lot is going to be. So, especially in the city of Chicago, lot size is extremely, extremely important. And then, of course, is your house on a busy street? I recommend not buying houses on busy streets. It can easily affect your value by 10, 20, 30, 40. I've seen 50% by being on a busy street. Again, it depends on your market. If you're in the suburbs versus the city, busy streets aren't as price detrimental, but when you're in the suburbs, if you're on a busy street, I would not do the deal. And then again, we talked about, are the comps on the other side of a busy street? I don't count those. Do the comps have 3-car garages and yours have a 1-car garage? Obviously, that is a big determination. And then again, if you're buying a house and it has radiator heating and you're trying to sell your home as a fully rehabbed house and you have radiator heating and all the other comps have forced air with furnaces, you're not going to get that same valuation. And then, especially important in Chicago, brick houses and frame houses. For example, on the south side, I'm only buying houses that are brick. On the north side, I will buy frame houses, but of course I'm using only frame comps to frame comps and not looking at brick comps if mine is a frame. Now, let's just use this. I want to get a good judge of people and listing prices in this room. So we've got a property at 123 Main Street in Anywhereville, Illinois. Comps are between $190,000 and $200,000. Now, you know, this is the list price dilemma that everyone goes through, your realtor goes through. So if comps are between 190 and 200,000, how many people think we should list at 190? We got one. All right. How many people think we should list at 195? 1, 2. How many people think we should list at 199? Okay, we've got a few. Okay, good. How many at 200,000? Very few. Okay. How many at 205? Okay, we've got we've got a few. We got some people who want to get some extra money for their rehab. All right, good. I like your thinking. How about 210? All right, we got a good number. I think the most we had in here was 199. Now, what I'm going to share with you is going against everything you've ever been taught. This is the biggest mistake that realtors make, and 90% of realtors make this mistake. Let's see who was right. At 190,000, there were 582 buyers, and this was for a house in Plainfield, just so you know. At 195, there were 552 buyers working with agents. At 199, there were 547 buyers working with agents. At 200,000, there were 588 buyers working with agents. By going to 199, we lost 30 buyers. And then actually, 199 has less buyers than 190,000. Which is crazy. And then 205, we have 452 buyers working with agents. And 210, we have, so if we jump to 205, we literally cut off 130 buyers. Now, you say, well, Josh, how do you know that there's this many buyers looking at these price points? Very easy. It's a tool that realtors can use, which is called reverse prospecting. Absolutely. That's why you're a good agent. Reverse prospecting is very important because you can see before you list a home, you can create what's called draft listings. And by creating draft listings, I'll create on one single property, if we have a range of $20,000, $50,000 on the list price, I'm going to use reverse prospecting to help me set that price. I'm going to use the comps to get me in that range, and I'm going to use reverse prospecting to get the bullseye of where we're going to list. So at 199, you can't see it there, but that's 547. And then there, I think that's, it's too small. I think that's 560, 588. So again, you lost out on 40 buyers by going 199. Now, do you have a question?
Are you suggesting that because I might list the house at 210, that none of the buyers who are looking at 199 or 200 would even look at my house, or is it that a realtor wouldn't be willing to show my house?
No. So what reverse prospecting does, it looks at people who have active searches on the MLS today. So what that means is that, let's go back to the numbers. So if let's say there's, right at 200,000, there's 588 real estate agents who have automatic searches set up with the criteria of your home at 200,000. There's 588 active searches. When you go to 205, there's only 452 active searches being done. Now, why is 200,000 a magic number in this case? Well, think about it. When realtors are working with buyers, they set people up on searches in $5,000, $10,000, $25,000 increments. If I'm a realtor and let's just say I want to show my client homes $200,000 and up, I'm setting them up on an automatic search at $200,000 and up. I'm not setting them up on a search at $199 and up. And now because you were listed at $199, none of those buyers saw your home. So reverse prospecting is something you need to do before you list each and every single house that you are going to list. It is very, very crucially important because, again, you'd be better off pricing it at you'd be better off pricing it at 200,000 is a much better list price, in my opinion. That's the magic number. And then again, you got people looking between 150 and 200 or 175 and 200. You're hitting it up. That's how people search on the internet. It's in these even numbers. So this is not even taking into consideration Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, Redfin. So let's see how those sites are set up. So this is Zillow, and I just chose Bolingbrook for an example. So here's the different prices when I'm looking on Zillow and I'm looking at homes at certain prices. There's no option to look at homes starting at $199 and up. It's $200,000 is my first selection there if I want to look at homes at that price range. So if you're listed at $199, people even on the internet aren't going to see you, which reverse prospecting doesn't even count, but you're talking probably potentially hundreds of more buyers. Let's see how Trulia is set up. Same thing, it goes 150, then the next starting price is 200,000. Again, you're missing out if people are looking at 200,000 and up if you're listed at 199. Redfin, I'm looking for homes. It's hard for me to see. I believe that's 175. Then the next price point is 200,000. So as you can see, all of the consumer websites are the same. So most of the time, reverse prospecting is going to more than likely correlate with the consumer websites as well. So this is something that realtors can do very easily. They can create sign writers for your home. Again, it has a website. If you want to try it, you could text Keating to that phone number that's on there. And what'll happen, so if somebody's driving by your listing, they don't have time to write down the information, or they don't want to get out of the car and grab a flyer, they can literally text something, and then your website is going to be sent to their phone, and they're not being sent to Zillow. They're not looking it up on Zillow or Trulia or Realtor.com, where they look at your property, and now they're off looking at other properties, and they forgot about your property, which they first looked at. They're looking at your website, and when they text that information, the realtor is also capturing their information, which then the realtor can then follow up as well. So you guys are more than welcome to text that number to see how that works. And then of course you can create a QR code as well. So this is what a sign writer looks like. Obviously when you have a 4-foot by 4-foot sign, you're going to have a much larger sign writer. Somebody has a QR reader, they can hit the QR code, same thing. Now, we have really, really nice homes. I shouldn't even have to say this. If we're listing with an agent, they need to be paying for professional photos. Again, that's a given, especially with what a lot of the listings on the MLS I see, and I'm not referring to necessarily realtors that work with investors, but most of the pictures on the MLS, about 50%, are pictures that somebody took with their cell phone. That is unacceptable. That is really unacceptable. If an agent cannot even invest in pictures, you've got a big problem. So make sure your agent is doing high resolution photography. And then this is just an example of a virtual tour here. This is one George created for me. This is not pictures virtual tour, this is video virtual tour. There's a big difference between putting pictures and then putting music to it and then actually doing video. You guys get the idea. So what it is it's not pictures with music put to it. Anyone can do that. I can literally do that on my computer here in 2 seconds after I get pictures and put Beethoven to it. It's not impressive. You need high resolution photography and the virtual tour. Again, if you're working with George, it's $250. It's not a big investment to do this. Now, the next thing that your agent should invest in, and again, I'm referring to homes that are, a little bit more pricey, but they should be doing a virtual tour. Let's see if I can play that. Oh, there we go. All right, so this is live. So anyone across the country right now can literally walk themselves through their home virtually through the home. Now, this is done by VHT, and depending on the size of the home, like if it's a condo, if it's under 2,000 square feet, it's only going to cost $300. So what you're seeing now is me literally acting as a homeowner, looking at the house, looking at all the features of the house, walking through. I've had homeowners come up to me, or potential home buyers, and say, "Oh, are you guys gonna fix that ding in the door in the bedroom, on the third bedroom?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Because they literally spent 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes clicking through the house, staying on that house. This is something that you can see, especially as rehabbers, when we have these awesome renovations, we want to have people spend time looking at your house. So with my virtual tour, my 3D virtual tour, I create a unique website just for that virtual tour where people can go and visit and literally walk through the house and then take their time and look through. So that again is going to cost anywhere between $300 to $500 to the realtor. Now, the biggest lie you hear is that print advertising is dead. Why do people say that? Because I do mail campaigns, and mail campaigns are very successful. So how is print marketing dead? The people that tell you print advertising is dead are the people that don't want to spend the money to do it. That's why they'll tell you that. You should be sending out, and you guys are free to come up and get, I don't know if I have enough, but you guys can come up. You can send out 1,000 of these for $500 by going to the U.S. Postal Service and then using, I have my printer that does everything all together. They create the marketing piece, they send it to the post office, they do everything for about 1,000 mailers. It's going to cost me about 50 cents a mailer. But what this is doing, is your neighbor, are the neighbors going to buy your house? Probably not. But the reality is, if the neighbors know that your house is for sale, they might know Aunt Susie who's moving in from Arizona, or they might know their good friend from college that's moving to the Chicagoland area. This is in their face because they're probably not going on Zillow, Trulia, purposely looking for those homes, but they're getting this in the mail. Not only are they getting the information, but they're getting the websites, the text number, and then of course the 3D tour as well. So again, this is something that your agents should be doing to market your home. And if you're in Chicago, what even works better than mailers is actually doing flyers. So I'll pay people to go literally flyer door to door. The neighbors don't like it, but it's in their face, and they will see that your house is for sale, and that will get people to your open house. And a lot of times we will sell at our open house because we have mega open houses where you have tremendous amount of people there. They may just be nosy neighbors, but the serious buyers see a swarm of potential buyers. They will take action. And then you can go to merrillshop.com. You can create, you get 100 of these. It's not a big investment. You can get a full 4-page brochure for $200. It's probably a little bit less than that even. And you should have these at the properties. Again, when people are coming through the house, they see the house, I want them walking away with something, so this is staying on their mind. This isn't sending them to Trulia. This isn't sending them, we don't want them on those sites. We want them going to your site and your site alone, so then they don't get, people on the internet have ADD and they start clicking everything else and they forgot the first reason why they were there. All this has information about your home and then your websites if they want to learn more information. And then, to really be in people's face, we call people. And now this really makes people mad. But it works. We call people, we invite them to the open house. You can get an annual subscription. I can get phone numbers in any neighborhood in the Illinois market here, and I can get all of your neighbors' phone numbers. Now, I run it across the do not call registry, because I don't want to be fined ridiculously, but I run it through the do not call, and once you get set up, actually through Cole Realty Source, they'll automatically scrub it for you once you register that you do telemarketing, so you're only calling people that are not on the do not call list, because that's very important. And then you can let technology, the realtor doesn't have to sit there and call 1,000 buyers. I want to call when people most likely aren't going to be home. That's actually when I want to call to invite, because I actually don't want them picking up. I want to leave them a voicemail, so they're getting this in the mail, they're getting a phone call. Sometimes people will just show up at the open house to be like, man, this is ridiculous with the amount of things. But you want people, you need to be in their face, you need to make people aware that your home is for sale. And you can use callfire.com. Roughly costs about, to do 1,000 dials, costs you $100. Now, if you want to have somebody that, in-house staff, I've done that before, that'll cost you, I set them up on a speed dialer, and then they can make about 1,000 phone calls, believe it or not, with labor and everything for about $300. Now, YouTube videos. Does anybody here know who owns YouTube? Exactly. YouTube videos, a lot of times you will rank on YouTube videos more than you will websites that have been out there forever. So when you're creating your virtual tours, I recommend creating at least, even though they're the same videos, I recommend posting them on different channels and then labeling them other things. I even recommend doing more than 3. But create a video, again, if you're 123 Main Street, create a video, just 123 Main Street. That's the name of the video. The tags should be 123 Main Street. When you upload the video to YouTube, it should also be saved as 123 Main Street. And then in the description, you should have 123 Main Street. The title should say 123 Main Street. If you have all that, a lot of times your YouTube video may rank higher than the consumer sites like Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com. Again, we want people going to, they'll see your YouTube video, be blown away. On that YouTube video, it has, again, the links to that specific property website. Then you'll want to create a video, same video that you created the virtual tour, and you just call it Homes for Sale in Glen Ellen, Homes for Sale in Bucktown, Homes for Sale in Portage Park. Call it that. And then you'll also want to create a video, very similar titling, but all you're doing, because a lot of people search either homes for sale in blank, or they search 3-bedroom homes for sale in blank. So I recommend creating separate YouTube channels to post all these videos. Now, again, I talked about, most agents rely on the MLS, and that's because that MLS will blast it out on all those sites. So it doesn't matter if you're with At Properties, Remax, they're going to be posted to all those sites. Now, market time is extremely, extremely, extremely important. I see where realtors will list a home at 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night. The next day, it's the next day. Now you've accumulated 2 days on market. If you're posting in the afternoons or evenings, that's not, I want to post right after midnight so my property gets that full day of exposure, because there's the night owls that are looking for homes, and then there's the early risers that are going to see that home. And I want to make sure that I have the fewest days on market as possible, because the more days on market you have, the more you're going to open yourself up to lowball offers. And then I like listing. Don't list on Mondays. That's, people are going back to work. They more than likely aren't on the MLS on Monday. Everything happened over the weekend. They're at their jobs. Monday is a bad day to list. I recommend Tuesdays, Wednesdays preferably is my favorite. Thursdays or Fridays, again, but if you're doing it Friday, it needs to be Friday morning at 12:01 a.m. because that people are setting it up for the weekend showings. Now, to do the open house, you should also be doing a Facebook ad. Now, I recommend doing at least a $100 budget, but a $200 budget is ideal. And then I can target, Facebook allows you to target people over certain income levels, above certain ages. So depending on the price point, I'm not going to target people that are 18 years old to look at my $1 million listing. I'm wasting my time unless they're a .com millionaire or billionaire, but there's very few of them. I want to target the people that are 25, 26 or older to look at those homes. And more than likely, If they're over 65, they're not buying a huge mansion with all the bells and whistles. So again, Facebook allows you to target and nail that down and then look at income levels. I'm not going to target people who are making less than $25,000 to look at $1 million listing. And then of course, and then Facebook even allows you to target it by zip code or city name as well. Then when you have your open house, Saturday, for whatever reason, for me, the best times I've had is Saturday, like 2 p.m. That's when everybody shows up. But Saturday and Sundays, 1 to 3 is ideal. You want to have 10 directional, again, this whole idea that we want to get as many people in the home as possible, so when a serious buyer comes, because a lot of times when I'm listing on Wednesday, my serious buyers have already seen it one time. They might have scheduled a showing on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, and then they're at that open house on Saturday and they see a line out the door to get in the house. People want what they can't have. And your number one goal should be, as investors, is to try to sell it on that first week, if possible. So that's why I'm very front-loaded on the marketing to really have a super mega open house where you get a lot of bodies in the house and you create that demand. Thanks so much for coming out.